Thanks for everyone joining us. We're going to talk about not only how you create content, but how do you get conversions from that content, formats, tactics, all those things to really take our content to the next level. So let me give you a man that needs no introduction, Andy Crestodina, if we want to go to the next slide here. Andy, your current
That's
role,
me. Yeah.
CMO at Orbit Media, published hundreds of articles, a frequent speaker. How long have you been at Orbit Media? How long has that been
I'm
around?
one of the two. Yeah. So 24 years, going back to the early days of the web.
Wow, this is off the cuff, but what's one huge difference between content then and content now?
That was pre-blogging, pre-social media, pre-smartphones. And it was an era when we built websites that had a skip intro button. That
There you
so
go.
you don't see those anymore.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure here. So much experience to share. Let's set up our agenda a bit. We are going to talk about content creation process, something that is near and dear to both of our hearts, then figuring out which articles need to be updated and refreshed. And then he's going to give some really great tactics for that. And then the LBOW, is that what we're calling it?
Yep.
Okay, great. We'll figure, if you don't know what that acronym is, we'll figure that out. Stay with us. We'll get there. And then of course, we're going to have a live Q&A. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat or in the Q&A, and we will be sure and get to them. I'm sure Trevor from Antarctica has several good questions that he would like to address. So welcome, Trevor from Antarctica. We could go to the next slide here. Let me tell you a little bit about AirOps and what we're up to these days. We have early access to our prioritization layer where you can monitor your LLM visibility footprint, see what actions you need to take right away. And what's great about this is you can also prove pipeline to the C-suite. We all know, like we'll get into today, sometimes your content performs at the level you want, sometimes it doesn't. How do you prioritize that? AirOps is one of the only dashboards that has first-party metrics with offsite signals and intent data to help you make those decisions. To get early access to that dashboard, hit us up at growth@airops.com. You can put webinar in the subject line, and we will be sharing a little bit more, a few glimpses of AirOps throughout the conversation today. But Andy, we're excited that you're here. You want to break it down for us?
I do. This is not a presentation that I often give. I'm teaching and speaking all over the place, but this one is a little bit different, a little bit special. It's about how we do it. There's many different workflows and processes and tools involved, prompts involved. But this has been my method for content marketing for many years. Our go-to-market is purely based on organic channels and content marketing. So I guess 15 years ago, I started publishing. This is a brand, Orbit Media, there's 55 of us, and we've never bought an ad. So the things I'm going to show you today are the things that we have used to build a steady, consistent pipeline of leads powered by this content program that creates all the visibility that we have. And the how, the steps, the what to do is all in this deck. We're going to cover it all. It's a little bit overloaded. I'm often guilty of that. There's more in this presentation and conversation than I wish. There's a limited time. So we're going to jump right in. It's going to go through a flow chart. We're going to go through a flow chart, and I want to make this really tactical at each step. And if you guys get even two things, four would be great, that you can consider adding to your workflow or editorial processes or your approach to getting content done, that's a win. Step one is basically just content development, the developing the concept. What are we going to do? What are we writing about? What would connect with this audience? So it frequently begins with inspiration for your audience. You've seen your analytics. You've interacted with these people on social. We should be close to them, hopefully here, close to them. Whenever I have an idea, I reach for a template. We're a Google Drive shop here, so this is a Google Doc. Whatever SharePoint or Notion, whatever you use is great. But that template is how many of us write the first draft. This is a bit of a research piece that we've done. And so that's what I'm going to do. Let's figure out a way to make this available to you guys. This is the content marketing template that I used on Sunday that I've used for 10 years. And it forces us to go through the little elements that are included in the content that help it get visibility. The promotional elements, things like keyword research and email subject lines and social and collaborators. As we say, the best content doesn't win. The best promoted content wins. So building in the promotional elements into the process for developing content forces you to build things that are more likely to get traction. right? So the promotion is not an afterthought. You don't make something and then wonder, is this going to be good for social or search? No, that's you're a little too late. So when I pull up that Google Doc, which is in my browsing history so much that I just start typing these letters and it appears, the first thing I do is make a copy of that. So this is just a standard workflow where I make a copy. Then I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to rename it. And now I've got a new version of this. This is an article I wrote. It was about some SEO thing I did. And now the very next thing I do once I have this kind of draft, I may not really know yet where this is going to go, what it's going to include, who I'm going to reach out to for quotes, or what the final takeaways will be. So I'm going to copy the link to this sort of almost blank Google content template, and then going to put it into a spreadsheet. This might seem kludgy to some. You maybe have a much better way. There's other tools, AirOps. Josh will tell us the right way to do this. But here's a simple way. I just add it to this tab called topics. You can see at the bottom. The first one, the elbow, we're going to go into that, Josh. I promise the big reveal. We'll tell you what elbow stands for. It's not much, but that is there now. And these are many of us, many content marketers have 20, 50 articles that are always they're on the back burner, but you have them in mind. So when you see a piece of research on the web, you drop it in there. When you see a cool quote from someone, you drop it in there. When you get a new idea to add to this, to maybe it's a list, you drop it in there. So you can see I've got lots of things that are partially in development. Back burner, but still cooking. I am, I have and I think many of us do, content marketing is like a 24-hour thing. I don't know any creators who don't always think about what else to do, like random times all the time. That's where you capture them. It is a problem if you don't have a mechanism for storing and growing, slowly growing, like they're incubating in there, these ideas that you'll eventually, when they get close enough, this is at the halfway point, stop, knuckle down, focus, and get that across the finish line. So you're going to be collecting examples and quotes and influencers and research and images. And then many of us do it this way. So the inspiration came first, and you're going to start collecting those ideas for that piece. And hopefully, you have your way of doing that. You'll find you have dozens. Some of them will never get written. Some of them are going to be very close right away. Now, weird idea. Before you make something new, you should stop it and take a minute to ask yourself, is this very closely aligned with something I had from before? Because you don't have to make something brand new every time. Some of the best performing content is simply updates of older content. So when you do that, there's big advantages because you can recycle URLs. And one of the tricks is to figure out exactly which of these old pieces should not be, don't write something new, go back and refresh something old and treat it as if it was new. Now, I'm an AI user. I don't use it to write, but I'm always using it to try to give me ideas. And I figured out this weird trick to try to get AI to tell me which of my articles are most ready to be rewritten. The first time I did this, I did with Google with GA4, and I just took the title tags of every post, and then gave it to AI and said which of these is out of date or should be rewritten. I can actually export that right from WordPress. And then you give WordPress that file, and I think it needs a little editing. AI is going to choke on it maybe the first time. So I'm just going to say, convert that to a CSV. Just show the title tags and blog categories and the publish dates. And then it's going to give me back a file, provide a link to download. You're going to look at that. And then you're going to evaluate the extent to which those maybe should be rewritten with more help from AI. This is a prompt. I don't know if this looks like a long prompt to you. This is a typical length prompt for me. It's basically saying, I'm giving you a bunch of articles. Tell me which of these should I consider rewriting? Is that topic still in demand? Is that a trending thing? Is that evergreen but stale? Is it old? Because you can see this was old and the topics moved on. So then it gives me a list back, and I love this a little bit. You can see I took this screenshot. Oh, these were older ones. That's why the dates are older. It's yeah, maybe those. So in addition to normal blue sky content ideation, this is a method for looking back and seeing which of these things needs a refresh. Because here's the point, you really don't need 1,000 articles to get great traction in content marketing. You need 100 great articles. Because the difference between good and great is enormous. Every marketing chart you've ever seen in your career, and I've ever seen in my career, was one of these log scale exponential curves where the top performers get crazy outsized results. If that's true, we're trying to just make more of those. And to focus on those have natural pre-built advantages because they've been around for a while. You have some big opportunities. Joke slide. That's Nick Offerman, Parks and Rec. I never even saw the show, but I love the look on his face here. Whole ass one thing. Okay. So now if that's an article that was search optimized, and we're going to have a big angle on SEO here in a minute, I'm going to repeat the SEO research that I did the first time by just going back and updating the likely key phrases that I may be targeting. Now, this article is seasoned. It's been in Google. It has some trust. There's some links to it. So by rewriting a new piece, maybe it's 80% new, it could be a big rewrite on that same URL, you'll have a far easier time ranking. You don't really have to be a pro SEO to get the those kinds of search results if you just go back and try to recycle some of these older pieces. You've got lots of stuff. If you've been doing this for even a few years, there's things that should go back and be refreshed. To spoiler alert, right? A true confession, almost half of my articles are me rewriting old things. Right? I did one recently. It was like the fifth time. It was an article I wrote in 2011. And it was about website traffic sources, how to break down what do these definitions mean. And I looked at it, I'm like, rewrite. It was the fifth time it's got 5 dates at the top now. So I take that same template and I put that back in. Okay. This is the search benefit to recycling URLs. This was a post called What to Blog About. Boom, right? The rankings are falling because other people are publishing new stuff. The web is insanely competitive. So when new content comes out that exceeds the quality of yours, you have to update that thing to have any expectation. The natural state of the internet is decay. This stuff is all getting old. I think it's well worth the point, right, to go back. But you got to keep the URL or that doesn't work. See, in that example, this is an article about LinkedIn newsletters. It already had 20 links to it. It already has some page authority. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Okay, next topic. Does it have a provocative point of view? Especially in the era of AI, we need to differentiate. We need to take a stand now and then. Have a point of view. Tell us a story or an anecdote. Josh just said that, right? And like where are you from? Who we are matters. So by injecting ourselves into our content and not being super neutral and boring and AI wrote it. So this is an opportunity to find that. Now, there's a way to do this using AirOps. Josh is going to show us a way here. Josh, how can we use this tool to find opportunities?
Yeah, for sure. So AirOps has several actions that you can take to help refresh your content and help prioritize what needs to be updated, including like the meta title, the metadata, and then the content in itself. So in this example here, you can see some like before and after of what your current content looks like, and then where the suggestions are. So then you can update the keywords, the page structure, and then you can also schedule these refreshes to help improve your traffic. And it also has a lot of great workflows in our Power Agents for internal linking as well. So this is a really great content refresh for AirOps. And we'll drop a link in the chat about how you can do this with several pages all at once.
Yeah, and look at the best practices and the difference. Start with a strong right hook, keep it visual. You're seeing that right there. These are the best use cases for AI is to help you get ideas for those little improvements that can make a big difference. Thanks for that. Oh, weird. I'm going to use examples today of a hypothetical service provider to zoos. We're going to pretend to be veterinarians for zoos. And this is back to our strong point of view idea. There's a simple prompt that everybody should try. I love it. It's super fun and weird. I call it the provocative but mundane topic prompt. So it sounds like this. What are some relatively mundane, almost trivial topics that job title, put in any job title you like. I've got a weird one. Large exotic animal veterinarians have very strong opinions about. Because this is true for everyone, right? And AI is brilliant at coming up with these. Glove preference. What is the right thickness of gloves? Dart gun versus blowpipe? I never in a million years could have come up with these ideas. Needle gauges for various species. What is the worst smelling large animal medication? Now, AI has never smelled veterinary medications, but if your audience has, and you have this topic, this is going to give you ideas. The best way to use AI, the most fun way to use AI is to just use it to trigger things where you can then go do things that AI could never do, which is take a stand, right? How to set up your truck. This is not normal best practices. This would be points of view, right? Literally, the definition of thought leadership is someone can disagree with it. If you wrote a post and every sentence in that post is simply how to, which is honestly most of my content, then you're not a thought leader, which I'm really not trying to be. Thought leadership is creating things where you draw a line in the sand a little bit, and it can be on a mundane topic. the most annoying animal species to work with. You get the idea. I do these all the time. I did one a few hours ago, and the answers were super interesting. If we were targeting office managers, what do they care about? Passive aggressive thermostat battles, reply all abuse, how to load a dishwasher. Each of you just now, in your mind, segmented yourself into one of two groups. You either think there's a proper way to load a dishwasher and you're a bit persnickety about it, or you think everybody else is a little bit too uptight about this dishwasher thing. So it's just a fun way to get ideas, and I think it's one of the great use cases for AI. A social media marketing trick. If you hope to get engagement on this, then you don't have to wait until the post is live. This is a big mindset shift. If you wait until the piece is done and live to begin promotion, you've missed an opportunity. If you instead pull a question out of the topic and post that question first, you're going to find out who cares about it. And you might also get ideas and points of view that you could include in the content. So I did this years ago, just wrote on paper. That's my handwriting. This is well, what are the criteria for thought leadership? A second ago, I said something that someone can disagree with. But look, people, even if it's a few, they engaged. Now, this just became a tiny focus group for this piece that I may not create for a month, but eventually. So what I want to do is keep this post, and I'm going to grab the link. Those three dots will give you the link, and then I'm going to drop that into my template. Because when it's time to promote this, or when I get to the writing piece, I can go back and look at that piece and say, who had provocative comments on that? Who disagrees? I love to add counter narratives. That's an important word for content marketing. What are the counter narratives related to this? Now so I'm saving that social post that I can go back to. And if nothing else, these are people that I can mention when the piece is live, because you started the conversation before the post was published. It's a cool, weird trick. It's way more fun. You're going to grow your network. You're going to improve the quality of your content, and you're going to get better reach. This is a method for getting social reach, right? That's like ego bait or something, right? Like now you have a pretext for mentioning people. If you don't include contributor quotes, and if you didn't post the question prior to publishing, you really don't have any reasons to mention anyone when it goes live. And those mentions are notifications for those collaborators. I almost never would write an article without contributor quotes from an expert, which we'll talk about. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little bit. Could we publish new research? That's the other format for content that AI can't do. AI doesn't care about anything, therefore can't be a thought leader, and AI does not create new original data. Not really, right? Statistics. I showed several research pieces already. So when you publish research, you become a primary source for new information. That is a wildly different position for you in the internet. There are really two kinds of content programs. Some are primary sources for new information and data, and then there's everybody else. It's not, it's like, it feels entrepreneurial to me because no one told you to go do this, right? If you're a content strategist, you just make up the idea and you just go conduct the research. AI can, of course, help you with these topics. When you publish them, these are exactly the pieces that are going to attract links and mentions, that are going to attract journalist attention. How much of your content is literally newsworthy? Be honest with yourself. But when you publish new original data, there's all kinds of trade publications and editors, and it's going to lead to like podcast interviews and like all those good things. It's probably 3 or 4 times a year at least. I publish new original research, and it is the most fun. While doing analysis is this cool moment where like you're looking at this data and you're like, holy cow, I'm the only person in the world who knows that right now because you haven't published it yet. It's really cool. It's a special thing, and it's also a highly differentiated thing, which is especially important in the era of AI. Now, the research topics that attract the most links are the ones that sort of fill in a gap, a missing statistic, right? The internet's not finished yet. To find those, it's helpful to first build a tiny persona of your audience so that we can train AI. I joke AI might as well stand for average information. It's literally summarizing the internet. It's like the average of the internet. Until you teach it about your target audience, and then it's very focused. It's very targeted. Why would AI be targeted until you teach the target? Why would AI be different until you teach it the difference? When I make this tiny persona, and here's my persona prompt, build me a persona of a job title in a geography who has these responsibilities. This person has these challenges and these goals, and they're looking for this kind of help. And then tell me 4 things. I want to know their hopes and dreams, their fears and concerns. I want to know their emotional triggers and their decision criteria. This will help me. This prompt, I will rip it out of there and drag it back in a PDF over and over. almost all the conversion work I do requires that I have a prompt like a persona like this, because everything else that it tells you after it knows the target audience is just much, much more specific. In this case, it gives me back, and this is useful beyond content marketing. This is used for homepage audits and for anywhere deeper in the funnel. You give it your sales deck. You could give it your contracts. You could give it your content calendar or your mission statement or anything, and just ask, what's missing from this X based on the point of view of my target audience? I think this is really the big unlock. One of the few moments in AI where you realize, wow, if I give it detailed information, and it just generated this, it might be wrong, you'd have to fix it. If I give it detailed information that's accurate, the responses are all much more interesting and focused. So that's my joke about AI might as well stand for average information. You're going to keep that. If you're a solo content pro, you're going to save that kind of on the left and just rename it or stick an emoji at the front of it so you can easily find it, or name it something persona so when you search, it's right there. But I think it's far better to copy and paste it out of AI. This feels kludgy, right? In this era where dragging files around, you could train it. There's other tools you could use. AirOps is going to show us one that helps us write in our brand voice. But in these methods, I think we're still in the era where it's at least more efficient for me to copy and paste this persona into a Google Doc, save it as a PDF, keep it there in my shared prompt library, and then drag it into all these other prompts. Content strategy prompts, it doesn't necessarily work. It's the buyer persona is much more focused on the bottom of the funnel. A lot of these methods will work if you just give it the job title, but I really encourage you each to consider creating a persona, hammering on it hard until it's good, and then dragging it into other prompts, especially when you're working on like a landing page or edits to a home page or something that's focused on the buyers in the key moment when they're deciding. But this prompt is simply going to help us find topics that are relevant to journalists. Your goal is to create content that catches the attention of journalists. Your goal is to win brand mentions and links, right? We've got an SEO angle here. So what are the frequently asserted, things they say a lot, but rarely supported, no one's done the research, statements among zookeepers? Frequently asserted, but rarely supported. And it comes back and I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but there's a long list of things that it came back with. It said, these are the gaps on the internet. The internet is not finished yet. We're going to make something that is extremely differentiated, that is literally newsworthy, that'll get you onto webinars and podcasts and mentions in trade publications and on big blogs. Highly recommended. Wow, we're only on number 2. This one's loaded. I hope I'm not talking too fast. I'm going to make myself available if you guys have questions afterwards. Mini search masterclass. The basics, and every one of you will understand search a bit better if you are new to it after these next few minutes. Is someone looking for the topic? If not, go write a great piece. Forget SEO. Not everything is a keyword opportunity. But if they are looking for it, what keyword might they use? And then the next check. We have to do this. We need a tool. Does our domain, wherever it's published, have sufficient authority and trust, domain authority, to rank for that key phrase? If yes and yes, go make the best page you possibly can, because the internet's quite competitive and there's lots of other content on that topic frequently. Here's an example. I love linguistics, and there's this linguistics pattern where in any body of work, including the transcript, if we took the transcript of this, the number 2 most used word is used half as much as number 1. The number 3 most used word is used a third as much as number 1. That is true for every book ever written. It's called the Zipfian distribution. It's super weird. But that log scale weirdly aligns with tons of other marketing charts. I thought that was cool. I got excited about it. I wanted to write about it. But guess what? 0 people are looking for that topic. Zipfian distribution in marketing. No, dude, that's not a marketing, that's not a keyword opportunity. Not everything needs to be search optimized. And when it's not, you are free to write whatever you want and to disabuse yourself of all those SEO considerations, which is fun, right? You have other promotion channels. I'm not an SEO strategist. I'm a content strategist that sometimes uses SEO as a strategy, as a channel. On the other hand, AI for thought leadership, ooh, whoa, Google suggested that right away. I think people are looking for that one, right? You can see. Now, tools make the difference. AI is a tool-heavy category, or SEO is a tool-heavy channel. This is Moz. And if I put a phrase in Moz, it'll show me the search volume. Any number in there proves to me that someone wants it. I really think that people overemphasize the importance of search volume or monthly volume, how many people are searching for it. I will target ultra low volume key phrases because I'm looking for really quality. I want to be helpful to even a few people. I'm not enamored by big search volume numbers because those are often, you don't, the higher the search volume, the more general the phrase. And the more general the phrase, the less you know about what that person really wants. I like the long tail key phrases. They're easier to rank for, and you're more likely to satisfy the information needs of the person who lands, which is the job, right? I'm not trying to make a really general thing for everybody. I know who I'm talking to and I want to be useful in their day. Okay. So we've addressed that. Are people looking for it? The next question is what's the keyword difficulty? This is not an optional step. This is, if you're not doing this, you're really not doing SEO because you may be targeting a phrase for which your domain lacks sufficient authority to rank for that phrase. It is basically impossible to rank for certain key phrases unless you write for super authoritative websites, which is possible in PR. You can write for other people. You're not trapped on your website. But this is the game. You have to know, what is the difficulty of the keyword compared to the authority of my website? On that phrase, AI for thought leadership, the keyword difficulty is about 35 because the other pages that rank are around 35. 38, 41, 55, 33, 43, 44, 26. If I'm not between 26 and 55, I could either just write the piece I want to write and forget about SEO, right? Or I could write the piece for someone else that has a higher domain authority. Or I could target a longer, more specific, less competitive key phrase. That's the game. That's how it works. There's no that you not every page should be optimized because maybe no one's looking for it, or not every page should be optimized because you have a 0% chance of ranking for it. Just choose a longer, more specific, less competitive key phrase, which by the way is a phrase for which you can probably do a better job of servicing this person in their day. That's what we're here for. So if my domain authority is 62 and that keyword difficulty was 35, maybe that's a phrase I might target, but really I'm going to drill down one more level and then I promise I'm going to move on from SEO. My domain authority might be 62, but if you go to the top pages report in Moz or whichever tool you like, I'm not advocating for any SEO tool per se. Look at the pages that have no links to them because your page is a baby, brand new, just born web page and see what the page authority is of those. Because that's going to be the likely page authority of a brand new URL on your site. Keyword difficulty 32, brand new page on my website 34. Going for it. I got this. I'm all in. Or I'm not in at all. There's no halfway. There's no sprinkling keywords around websites SEO strategy. That's not a thing. You are all in and you're focused on making the most useful page on the web or for the topic, or just make the page and promote it on social or email or other channels. So that comparison there, right? They're actually in two reports. It's a little bit, you got to take this extra step. So that is a really important takeaway. And if you are not familiar with search, I think that is one of the foundational things that we all have to understand. Those tools all have free trials. If you want to buy one, I think they're like 120 bucks a month for one of those. I don't know how to do SEO without that step. And if you saw my template at the very top, it said search volume, keyword difficulty for a bunch of different phrases. That's where I put that. Yeah, for thought leadership, search volume, keyword difficulty. Okay, so this is going to be a search optimized piece. I'm going to work hard on it. If it's the Zipfian content performance article, I love that one. I don't care if I'm the only one. I think that piece was really cool and weird. Basically, the piece is about how everything performs on a log scale. It's not really about Zip. He was the linguist from the 50s. But okay, this piece is unrelated to SEO. I deleted from the template all the keyword stuff at the top. And look, I've got other stuff below that I'm going to use to promote. So no one's searching for it, no problem. It'll be promoted on other channels. Okay, so now we're going to go make the best page on the web, or we're going to just forget about keywords completely, write the piece you love, make it snappy, make it provocative, make it visual. Those are the elements that work in social mostly, right? What works in search? Long form, text-based, detailed, meets expectations. What works in social? Punchy, visual, strong points of view, unexpected. These are actually opposite channels. Search and social are not different channels, they're opposite channels. Search, your job is to meet expectations. Social, your job is to be unexpected. Weird, right? That's quite different. And content and topic channel fit is a thing. It's the job of the content strategist to understand which channels this topic is likely to perform in. The psychology revisitor from these sources is wildly different. The visitor who comes from search typed on a keyboard, they're busy. The visitor who came from social tapped on some glass, they're bored. Busy versus bored, you get the idea. Okay, so the next thing we have to do, one last thing for search, we're going to spread out our meaning across the closely related phrases. If I wrote a piece about AI for thought leadership, what are the closely related phrases? Google shows me. My page should probably include some of these phrases and subtopics. LinkedIn, brands, examples. AI is going to, or SEO is going to make me a better writer here because I'm going to spread out my meaning and cover this thing more comprehensively. The people also ask box. How to promote? What's the ROI? How to structure? These should probably be in my content. So there's millions of clues even without a tool that will show you how to go deeper and build in those elements, or just ask AI. You're a semantic SEO expert. You're skilled in using these semantically related phrases. Give me a list of 10. These should probably be in my content. Or I should knowingly and willingly dismiss them. I did one recently where I'm like, I'm not writing about that. I'm writing about this. And I decided that my keyword wasn't really aligned. The keyword and search results weren't really aligned with what I was writing anyway. So I decided that was not going to be search optimized. So these things, you build them in. I literally add them to a short list at the top. And then as I write, I just cross them out. You can do this on pen and paper. There's no magic, right? It's not about the, there are very interesting semantic SEO writing assistant type tools, Market Muse, Phrase, Surfer, and ClearScope, and also the SEMrush writing assistant. You don't really need any of those though. Remember, you're going to be making this amazing piece and you just have to make sure you at least a little bit cover off on some of these subtopics and related questions. Now, here's what Market Muse looks like, which I just mentioned. If you put into a tool like this, the target key phrase, and you copy and paste in a draft of the article, it will give you a list. It'll scan the other pages that rank and give you a list of the phrases that they used and tell you if you used them or not. So then it's like a game, right? You just look for ways and places to inject a key phrase and the colors change on the right. Not my favorite part of SEO is like just, oh, how could I figure out a way to shoehorn this in? I think far better is to say, oh, look, I didn't cover that at all. Why don't I expand on my content with new sections or paragraphs, right? Where it's not, do not want to be a keyword stuffing SEO. I would have to go take a long hot shower and update my LinkedIn and find a new job. I'm not here for that. That's not really with the game. But it does fly these tools. Market Muse will show you a content score. I'm not sure the pricing on this one anymore, but I'm not here to really advocate for that tool per se. I often will take a screenshot though of that part of it and put it here to remind myself that I did cover off on the semantic SEO piece by literally dropping the screenshot of the Market Muse report right at the top of my template. Okay, let's get writing. We did our research. We've got an idea we know is going to be compelling. It has the formatting. Is it easy to scan? This is not optional. This is a key success factor. You cannot overstate how visual the internet is, how busy people are. 100% of web pages have a back button. That's some UX you can't remove. To keep the scan reader scrolling and moving through the content, because after all, they're here for their own selfish reasons, looking for an answer. I'm not expecting them to read every word. That would be absurd. We know that's not the case. But to help them make it through, like a beach read, right, that has 4-page chapters, you're going to put lots of subheads, bullets, bolding, internal links, contributor quotes, visuals. You're going to fill this thing with formatting so that if I write a paragraph that it's got 3 things in it, bullets automatically, right? I have a lot of posts have like lists and lists all the way down, right? Various different lists. So we know from research people aren't reading everything. You could do this for yourself. Simply look at the average time on page and count the words on the page and make a spot, scatter point. That's it.
Yeah.
Scatter plot. Make a chart. Make a chart that shows this. I've done this for myself and you can see it's probably 20% of the words get read on average. List of things you can add. You got this. You knew this. It's critical. Jason Fried puts it nicely. Short paragraphs get read, long paragraphs get skimmed, very long paragraphs get skipped, right? That's why terms and conditions have giant blocky paragraphs. They don't really want you to read them. So as you're thinking through your adding structure, literally watch, I write a paragraph. Ooh, that paragraph has got 3 points in it. Bullet list. Hey, these bullets could be built out. Subheads in the bullets. Hey, that one bullet is actually new paragraph. That's the structure of the piece happens during the writing. There's a great quote from Eugene Schwartz, copywriting legend. He says, "Great content is never written, it's assembled." That highlights the point that these things are, yes, it's about writing. The word is we're not just content writers, we're content developers. We're building these pieces. Visuals, impossible to overstate how visual the internet is. Just think of the names of some of the top social networks, right? Facebook, that's a type of image, right? Instagram, the logo is a camera, right? The short form video dominates. It is a hugely formatted thing. Our research shows year after year, content marketers that add more visuals tend to get better performance. So I'm going to make a strong statement. The highest performing content has a visual at every scroll depth. Not a pretty picture at the top, but no matter how far down they scroll, they're never going to end up in that little desert of text. It's an important thing. As soon as you throw them in the deep end and they just see all words, they're much more likely to hit the back button, especially if they came from social. Visitors from social media are 2 seconds ago were in the most compelling UX on planet Earth. Is literally addictive. Like you can go to rehab for screen addiction. And they spend millions of dollars to make these interfaces more compelling. What's in a social stream? Video, multiple points of view, right? Images. This is the stuff you can put in your content. The more your article looks like a social stream, the greater your engagement will be. You'll never see a social stream that's just all words at any depth. So visuals at every scroll depth whenever possible. And if you're wondering, like, this is a dry, dull topic, I don't have a chance to put in screenshots or charts. Guess what? The contributor quote gets a face. That's also a visual. And if you've got this take me 4 to 5 hours to make 10 to 12 minute YouTube videos, embed that in there, big difference. Big difference. You can create a GA4 exploration that will show you the impact on average engagement time for visitors that did or did not trigger the start video event. I'm teaching a GA4 workshop on Thursday. It's a 1 hour mini master class. If you want my turbo version of the best way to use GA4 for content marketing, we can share a link to that. But it's totally trackable, totally measurable. You can literally check the impact of video. I once, I'm a nerd. I once recorded myself making an entire piece of content and then broke it down and measured how much time I spent on each thing. Influencer collaboration really doesn't take much time at all. You send some emails to some friends with the draft asking if they'd like to add a point of view. The writing was about the same amount of time as the image preparation. I will stop writing, I will sit, I will work, I will focus, I will play with it and modify and tweak and change the color, add boxes, do whatever I can to make sure the visuals are there and that they're compelling, that they're prominent enough to look good on a small screen, all of that good work. Okay. Contributor quotes, I've been mentioning it the whole time. Content marketers added quotes are more likely to see strong results. This is, again, our annual blogger survey. I found one piece in the last 3 years that didn't have one, but my next piece has 4. I always add contributor quotes from subject matter experts or social media influencers or people I want to say thank you to or friends or clients, right? Spotlight someone. We're in a post single point of view era for content marketing. I know that's a strong statement. I believe the only content that gets traction as a single point of view, the strong results, top of the hockey stick curve, are the things where you're really taking a stand. True op-ed, legit thought leadership can work with one strong point of view. But I love to add it. All you're doing is taking the comments from below the LinkedIn post and putting them into the article before it goes live. When it goes live, you've got a reason to mention people. Your content got more interesting. The social reach got better, and you grew your personal network. And by the way, you often learn from experts while making content, right? I write more than I read these days, but I learn plenty just by reaching out to people. I could tell you tons of tricks and methods I've learned by reaching out to others. 2 bloggers. One of them writes a piece. The other one reaches out to the network, includes some points of view, and then both of these bloggers, their pieces go live. Who gets better reach, right? This is a huge unlock. So I don't know if it sounds daunting or time consuming. I think it should be neither. And I also believe that we should put in dissenting points of view. I made this piece once. Press releases don't belong on blogs. You should just write the article that you want to. My friend Michelle Garrett totally disagrees. So guess what? When I wrote that piece of advice, I asked her to disagree with me. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to be interesting and share points of view, right? And start a conversation. That's the goal. right? So here again, I'm repeating, right, the benefits of collaborative content. An ally in creating content is an ally in promoting content. And Jay Akunzo makes an excellent point about injecting ourselves. He says AI and people both rely on LLMs. AI has large language models. People have little life moments. I love that. As soon as you put yourself into something, you are different from AI, no doubt. So those are all key success factors in content: images, contributor quotes, examples, supportive data, internal links, strong opinion. You could write a prompt to audit your content, right? Or just, I think AirOps can help us with some of this. These are the things that this top performing content has. We do the research every year. This is people who do these things are far more likely to report strong results from digital. I tried to show a specific article here. It was so big, I had to break it up into 3 screenshots. That's what I'm doing these days. That's one piece. That's one article broken up because that's how much it took to cover the topic. I don't try to write long or short posts. I write the post as long as it needs to be to cover the topic completely. And I also do try very hard to write short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs. I always want to write short words, short sentences, short paragraphs, but never do I want to write a short post. I want to write a complete post. Let's edit, let's polish, let's publish. We're bringing this home. I wrote this sentence for real. I actually wrote the sentence. This was perhaps the most significant finding of the study. Tighten it up. This was perhaps the biggest finding of the study. Simplify your language. This was the biggest finding of the study. Stronger, more direct language. This was the biggest finding of the survey. Study, an ambiguous term. Survey, specific term. Always look to use a more specific, more direct, more concise, simpler word whenever you can. That's my only advice about editing. AirOps has got you for this. The brand kit does this for you. It will create for you an on-brand, on voice and tone aligned piece. Josh, tell us about the brand kits done by AirOps.
Yeah, this helps you maintain your same tone of voice, your same style all across the post that you do using AirOps. So when you're refreshing or creating that new content, you can always go back to the same brand information in your workspace to help it always stay on point and the point of view and style that you want. That's also available in AirOps that we have there too.
Yeah, just get a demo. There's a ton of these. Oh yeah, and we got that. We got that. This is just this is the surface. This is a deep tool with many useful resources, and we should probably just have an hour sometime where Josh walks us through a whole workflow. This is not a method I mostly use, but I've attempted to see if I can get AI to write in my brand voice or to edit it, to improve it, to make it more aligned with my brand voice. And I was really surprised at how much it took. So I made a custom GPT. You may be familiar. Every marketer should make a custom GPT if you haven't yet. If you're a ChatGPT user, if you're a Gemini user, they're called gems. If you're a Claude user, they're called projects. They're basically like encapsulated sets of instructions that do specific tasks. Very useful. So I made a custom GPT. I gave it general instructions. I'm going to give you a draft. I want you to edit it to improve the tone of voice to be more aligned with me. But I had to give it lots and lots of training material. I literally uploaded as attachments, there you can see them at the bottom, like text files with 10 articles each over and over again. I had to give this thing like, I don't know, training AI is hard. It's kind of the job. But once I gave it enough, I could come back. Again, this is not part of my normal workflow, but if you wanted to go for it, it sounds something like this. You build that, you give it tons of knowledge, training data, to basically like millions, like PDFs of 20 to 100 articles. And then you can go back to that custom GPT and copy and paste in the draft, and it will come back and tell you and try to edit it for your tone of voice. I think it worked. I want to start with a strong right hook, as I said. It's got a better opening statements. It ripped out the list from a paragraph and made it a bullet. That's absolutely my style. And it started adding little punchy subheads, which I liked as well. I think it's possible, but you might be surprised how much it needs. Anytime an AI response is not really meeting your expectations, you probably just didn't give it enough. These tools understand the world through language, and you have to give them lots and lots of language sometimes to get the output you're hoping for. So people who say, oh, I tried AI, it didn't work. Probably didn't try hard enough. If you're just looking for shortcuts, you'll be frustrated in AI. If you're trying to get performance and you invest the time to train it carefully, the persona is my favorite, far more valuable, I think, than this method, but it actually can drive some outcomes. Okay, so we're going to strengthen our assertions. We're going to indicate relevance. We're going to write a bunch of headlines. I got a weird idea for you. There is no such thing as a headline. I honestly do not know what a headline is. A headline isn't a thing on the internet. There are no headlines anymore. There are title tags. Those are in the code and they appear in the tab when you load the page. There are email subject lines. It's in the inbox. There are social posts. Those are separately written, specific, tailor-made. And there are H1 headers, but those are not and probably never should be the same thing. Each is tuned for its purpose. There is no such thing as a headline. There are subject lines, title tags, email, the social posts, and H1 headers. There's video titles. There's lots of things that we think of as headlines, but in fact, these are all purpose built for its function. H1 headers can lower bounce rates if they're specific and long. Title tags can improve rankings if they're 60 characters or less and have the target key phrase, ideally toward the beginning. Email subject lines can improve open rates, but you got to put the most compelling words at the very beginning, right? Because the mobile inbox truncates after 55 characters. So put an unexpected word in there. It's got nothing to do with algorithms. It's all about psychology. Social posts can have higher click-through rates and shares if they trigger curiosity or emotion or use special characters. They're prominent through emojis or something. So I want to help me get this word out. Headline, what's that? I don't know what a headline is, but I know what all these things are, and I know how to build them so they drive performance. Different use case, different action, different impact. Video titles, obviously, can affect that. Because this is how the internet works, and this is why things get clicked and don't get clicked. Any person anywhere in their life, there are three channels, inbox, social, stream, search results, right? Email, social, and search. When they see that thing, they're going to do in their brain a split-second cost-benefit calculation. That's what's happening as you scroll. Your brain is doing an ROI calculation, and you're asking yourself, is tapping on that worth 2 seconds of my time? So whatever the use case is, if it's built for that, it's more likely to win in that tiny cost-benefit calculation. If they clicked, you got a visitor. Otherwise, you got dismissed. They scanned and scrolled and went straight past it. That's what happens when they see these things in that moment, in search results, in inboxes, and social streams. Did you win the tiny cost-benefit calculation the reader did in their brain? So two ways to make something get clicked more often is to make the benefit a little bigger or to make the cost a little smaller. By the way, when you make content that's highly visual and you mention there's an infographic or a diagram, oh, that sounds really scannable. Or you put a number, it's a list post, oh, that sounds really scannable. Low cost. It's a low commitment on their part. That's the whole idea. Okay, so we got this keyword research. We've got this is a template from a pre-published post. This one was about how to track traffic from AI. The keyword research, the title tag, the description, the email subject line, the teaser text for the email, right? The creative that goes in the email. We got the social posts. I reached out to some collaborators. I want to include them in it. I've got a reason to mention them when the post goes live. And I got the internal links because you're not done publishing something new until you have linked to it from something old. Almost no one, right? Maybe 5% of marketers remember that. Think about that. You made something new. Your job is to drive traffic to it, right? Well, then why wouldn't you go back to another post and link to it? So this template literally reminds you to make a list of the relevant pages from which you should link to this new post that you just made. You're not done publishing a new post until you've linked to it from an old post. That point is so important. We made a slide for it. Okay. This is how competitive, this is just
We might need to start wrap it up here a bit so we can hit
Yep,
the
yep,
Q&A as
yep.
well.
Oh, the last thing, track your work, your lifetime body of work. Everything that I've ever written is in a spreadsheet. It's my LBOW. LBOW stands for lifetime body of work. Track your activity, celebrate the wins, and it'll keep you motivated. So that's the idea. We're going to refresh, reinvent. We're going to publish original research. And to stay happy about your job, results up or down either way, you are building a lifetime body of work. And when you see it all in one place, you're likely to be more excited about it.
That was fantastic. Lots of takeaways in there for everyone to go back and rewatch. Just a reminder here, I dropped a note in the chat about email us at growth@airops.com with webinar in the subject line if you want early access to our prioritization dashboard. So you can see some opportunities for net new creation, opportunities for refresh, and lots of ways to see your visibility in AI search as well. We also have some new third-party opportunities that you can also see from what do you need to write for on Reddit? Who do you need to reach out to for mentions and citations? So Lots of great stuff in there. You can prioritize those opportunities, take action, and then see how your content performs over time. So we're gonna jump into Q&A here. Thank you so much, Andy. You can go to the next slide. Just, yeah, thanks. Growth at airops.com if you're interested in that.
Yeah, I think this is the one, right? Let's get in there, guys.
Yeah,
Scan that.
for
That's your job
sure.
now. That's the next step.
Yeah, we have some limited spots there. We're rolling it out in phases, so be sure and grab yours today. Thanks.
Okay, why don't we stop share and then take a question, if there is time for one. Up to
Yeah,
you.
I think one question that came in I thought was really interesting is we know research is really important. We know that content also takes time to create, especially when you add in the visual element, which is so important. How do you balance the research with that content creation process?
The surveys are the biggest lift because you have to promote the survey. It's the hardest thing, but there's some content there's some data points that can only be discovered through a survey. So for example, like we did a piece, like we've done it every year for 12 years. How long does it take to write a blog post? There's no way to know that without doing a survey. So that survey has to be promoted and get lots of people to respond to it. It's a lot of work. There are other methods where the data exists in the wild and you can actually do analysis on existing data or mash up data from multiple sources. That if you, I would have a conversation with ChatGPT about it and just say, I've got limited time. I want to publish new original research. Here's my target audience. Here's a persona. What do you think? And it'll come back and give you some ideas for some more time efficient ways. But time in general is something that I think is obviously critical, but quality is so much more important than quantity. I have never written an article more than once every 2 weeks. That's my frequency. That's the best I can do to meet my standards. I'm sorry, like I'll probably never be a weekly content marketer. Honestly, I'm not even a full-time marketer. I've got 54 employees and 400 clients, and I've got other things I need to do in my day. I'd love to be a full-time marketer. So this is, I would say, slow down your pace and adjust your cadence so that you can make sure that this stuff is that you've got time to give these things the what they're due. And most of these pieces I make take me 12 hours, maybe 10 to 12 hours, but it's that 10x content that gets you the 100x results.
Love that. That's really great. 10x content that gets you 100x results. Vivian had a question I had too. You mentioned like volume may not always be important when looking at keyword research tools, but as far as I'm concerned as a content marketer, SEO person, sometimes I'm helping to gauge the interest in that topic based on volume. So how do you select which zero volume keywords to pursue?
Yeah, the tools show not available. There's no such thing as a zero volume keyword. The tools don't know everything. They inject keywords, and if it wasn't in their data set, they show no data. Just because it said no, it didn't have an answer, it doesn't mean that no one's looking for it. If you're, I think Google Trends though is a useful way to gauge it a little better because as long as there's some interest in the thing, you can go and compare two related key phrases and see which one's trending up or down. Is there seasonality? Is there some geographic interest in a certain country or area? But no, I think I will absolutely target low volume what are apparently low volume key phrases, knowing that there's like a gazillion searches a day and someone might be looking, and if they looked and found me, that I'd be happy to be the one to help them in that moment. So no, I think the ultra low volume key phrases are where a lot of the action is actually. I think it's you're going to rank faster, you're going to stay ranking for longer, and the visitors who land are going to have higher conversion rates because you're going to be speaking to them much more specifically.
That's a good segue to a question when we think about content that converts. Like, what metrics are you encouraging your clients to look at? What metrics are you monitoring as an agency for your clients?
A conversion on a sales page is a lead. A conversion on an article is a subscriber, almost always. So you have to work hard on your blog template to make sure that your email sign-up call to action is compelling enough, again, to win the cost-benefit calculation. So look closely at your email sign-up calls to action and make sure that they're very specific. They
Hmm.
maybe even have the job title of the reader, or they list the specific topics. Email sign-up submit, terrible. You're not working hard enough. It's a disaster. Go fix that first before publishing another article. Because if you can move your conversion rate from visitor to subscriber from 0.1% to 0.5%, you're going to grow your email list much faster, making you less reliant on Google and social forever after.
Yeah, that's a great thing to keep in mind. And then maybe finally, like, how are you coaching your clients on AI search and what they should be looking out for in that regard? I know it's a hot topic for everyone involved in the space.
I'm glad we have another 45 minutes because I'm going to go into that in detail right now. No, so Orbit Media, we are a web development company. We work with B2B brands. We build high-performing lead gen websites. Almost all of our clients have a content program. Almost all of our clients are paying attention to AI visibility. I think the starting point for this is to realize that Google provides options, but AI provides recommendations. People aren't just asking AI, give me 10, which is what you do when you talk to Google. They're saying, give me the best for this. Who's good at this? What are the companies that can satisfy for this use case and help companies like mine, the best fit? So with that in mind, like the way that SEOs put keywords into things, people who are optimizing for AI need to make their proof points, case studies, outcomes, testimonials, awards visible and scannable and crawlable as text. AIs aren't famous for making text-based proof points or building out the reasons to believe, but that's how AI works. To give AI, to feed the training data, all this, all the good points about your stuff, not just to be visible, but to be recommended. SEO is about visibility, AI is about getting recommendations. So you need to really build up all the strong cases for your brand with crawlable text as evidence so that you can compare favorably.
That's great. I really love that breakdown. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch and if they want to check out Orbit Media?
Orbitmedia.com / blog is where I write an article once every 2 weeks. We do a monthly LinkedIn Live where we review websites, live format, super fun. We do a monthly virtual event, webinar. We mentioned the next one's on Thursday. It's a GA4 thing, GA4 review for marketers that don't use it every day. But also LinkedIn. I'm going to say right now, my LinkedIn profile has follow as the blue button. If you can find the connect button, I think it's behind the 3 dots, and just mention AirOps, I will accept your connection. We can stay connected. You can send me a message. We can chat, ask me questions. I can be useful. We can maybe collaborate on something.
Wow, that is a great offer. Andy has an impressive LinkedIn following, impressive content output, impressive content strategy tips that we can all follow. So thank you so much, Andy, for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Love your stuff. I learned so much today as well.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, AirOps. See you guys all online.